The mining station orbited a dead planet at the edge of human space where nobody important ever visited. Captain Jake Miller liked it that way as he supervised the small crew aboard the cargo hauler Liberty Bell. They collected processed minerals from the station every 3 months and delivered them to Earth colonies. Nothing exciting ever happened until the day everything changed. Jake stood on the bridge drinking his morning coffee when his navigator Emma Brown frowned at her console. "Captain, we have something weird on the scanner," she said, pointing at her screen. "An object just appeared from hyperspace, but it is not transmitting any identification codes. Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The view screen lit up, showing a sleek, silver vessel unlike anything in the human fleet. The ship looked like it was made from liquid metal that had been frozen in a graceful curve. It drifted without power, spinning slowly against the stars. "Life signs?" Emma asked as her fingers danced across her controls. "Scanning now," replied their science officer Danny Chen from his station. The young man adjusted his glasses and leaned forward. "One life sign, very faint. Whoever is on that ship is barely alive." Jake made his decision quickly. "Lisa, prep the medical bay." "Danny, you are with me. We are going over there, Emma. Keep us steady and watch for any other ships." He grabbed an emergency kit and headed for the airlock. The alien ship had no visible doors, but when Jake touched the hull, a section simply melted away, revealing an entrance. The interior glowed with soft blue light and strange symbols covered every surface. The air smelled like cinnamon and metal. "This is incredible," Danny whispered as he recorded everything with his scanner. "The technology here is centuries ahead of ours. Look at these power conduits. They are made from some kind of organic crystal." Jake followed the life sign reading to what looked like a command center. In the center chair sat the most beautiful being he had ever seen. She had skin that shimmered like pearl, and long hair that seemed to be made of actual silver strands. 4 graceful arms hung limp at her sides, and her face had delicate features with high cheekbones and full lips. Her eyes were closed, but Jake could see they were larger than human eyes. "She is wearing some kind of royal insignia," Danny said, pointing to a crystal badge on her chest. "This might be nobility or even royalty from whatever species she is." Jake carefully checked her vital signs with his scanner. Her pulse was weak but steady. She had several burns on her arms and a nasty cut on her forehead. Purple blood had dried on her face. "We need to get her back to our ship now," he said. They carried her gently to the Liberty Bell, where Lisa Taylor, the ship medic, was waiting. The woman immediately went to work connecting monitors and cleaning wounds. "She is stable, but I have no idea about her biology." Lisa said, "I am treating the obvious trauma, but beyond that, we are in unknown territory." Hours passed before their guest showed any signs of waking. Jake had stayed in the medical bay the whole time, studying her face and wondering what her story was. Why was she alone in a damaged ship? What was she running from? Her eyes suddenly snapped open, revealing irises that swirled with gold, silver, and blue colors. She tried to sit up but was too weak. Strange musical sounds came from her mouth as she looked around in panic. Her forearms flailed weakly, trying to push Lisa away. Jake stepped forward slowly with his hands visible and spoke in a calm voice. "Hey, sweetie. Everything is okay. You are safe now. We found your ship and brought you here to help you. Nobody is going to hurt you." The alien woman stopped struggling and stared at him. The translator device on the wall clicked and hummed as it processed her language patterns. After a moment, her musical voice came through in English. "Where am I?" she asked. Then her pearl skin flushed with a purple color as she looked at Jake. "Yes, darling, I understand you saved me." Jake smiled warmly and pulled up a chair next to her bed. "You are on the human cargo ship Liberty Bell. I am Captain Jake Miller, and this is our medic, Lisa Taylor. Can you tell us your name?" The woman tried to sit up again, and Lisa helped her. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. "I was Princess Lyra of the Zilani Empire. My ship was attacked, and I barely escaped through hyperspace." "The Zilani Empire," Emma said from the doorway where she had been listening. "I have heard rumors about them at the trade stations. They control over 100 systems in the next spiral arm. Humans have never made official contact with them, Lyra nodded slowly. That is correct. My people know of humans, but we have avoided contact. The Empire considers your species too primitive to bother with. She looked embarrassed saying this. No offense intended, none taken, Jake said with a chuckle. We know we are new to the galactic scene. But what happened to you? Why were you attacked, Lyra? Purple blush deepened. My father, the Emperor, arranged a marriage for me to Warlord Krex. He rules the outer territories with an iron fist, and is cruel beyond measure. I refused the marriage and fled Krex, sent hunter ships after me. They caught me, just before I made the jump here, so you are a runaway bride, Danny said from behind Emma. That is actually kind of romantic in a dangerous sort of way. Lisa finished bandaging Lyra's last wound. You need rest, she said firmly. Your body has been through severe trauma. I do not know how fast your species heals, but anyone would need time to recover from those injuries. Lyra looked at each human face, studying them. You are being very kind to someone you just met, she said. My people would never do this. For a stranger, especially not for a species they considered beneath them. Jake stood up and patted her shoulder gently. That is what humans do, he said. We help people who need it. Get some rest, Princess. We will talk more when you are feeling better. As the crew left the medical bay, Lyra called out Captain Miller. Jake turned back to look at her. Thank you, she said simply. If Krex finds me here, he will destroy your ship to get to me. You should know the danger you are in. Jake grinned. Well then, sweetie, we better make sure he does not find you. He winked and left her to rest. The crew gathered on the bridge to discuss their situation. We cannot fight Zilani warships, Emma said. Our cargo hauler has basic defensive shields and no weapons. We would last about 30 seconds in a real fight. We could turn her over. Danny suggested, then immediately shook his head. No, forget I said that. We cannot do that. Lisa crossed her arms. Absolutely not. That woman is terrified and injured. We are not handing her over to some alien warlord. I do not care how powerful he is. Jake looked at his crew, feeling proud of their response. Then we are all agreed. Lyra stays with us. We will figure out the rest as we go. Emma plot a course away from the main shipping lanes. We need to stay hidden. As the Liberty Bell changed course and headed into deeper space, none of them knew how much their lives were about to change. 3 days passed as the Liberty Bell drifted through empty space, avoiding the usual trade routes. Lyra recovered quickly and surprised everyone with her curiosity about human culture. She spent hours in the mess hall asking questions about Earth and its people. The food processor hummed as Jake made breakfast for the crew. Lyra sat at the table using 2 of her arms to hold a tablet, while the other 2 gestured as she talked. Your history is fascinating, she said. Humans fought wars among themselves for thousands of years, yet you united when you reached space. How did you manage that? Jake set a plate of scrambled eggs and toast in front of her. We realized how small our differences were when we saw how big the universe was, he explained. Plus, we nearly destroyed ourselves a few times. That tends to make people reconsider their priorities. Lyra picked up a fork, studying it before copying how Jake used his. She took a bite, and her eyes widened in delight. This is wonderful, she exclaimed. What do you call this, just eggs? Jake laughed. Nothing fancy, but I am glad you like them. Most species can eat Earth food without problems. Emma entered the mess hall looking worried. Captain, we need to talk, she said, glancing at Lyra. I picked up some chatter on the long-range communications. Krex has put out a bounty on us. He is offering enough credits to buy a small moon. Lyra stood up quickly, all 4 hands clenched into fists. This is my fault. She said I should leave, take an escape pod, and lead them away from you. Sit down, Princess, Jake said firmly. Nobody is going anywhere. We knew this might happen when we decided to help you. Emma, how many ships are looking for us? At least a dozen that I can track, Emma replied. But they do not know our exact location yet. We have maybe a week before they narrow down the search grid. Danny burst through the door carrying his scanner. Captain, you need to see this, he said excitedly. I have been studying the Princess ship, and I found something incredible. The Zilani use a type of faster-than-light travel we have only theorized about. If we can adapt it to our engines, we could outrun anything. Lyra tilted her head, looking surprised. You want to combine human and Zilani technology that has never been done before. Our systems are completely incompatible. Danny grinned. That is what makes it fun. Plus, you know how both systems work. You could help us figure it out. Over the next few days, the crew worked together to modify their engines. Lyra proved to be a brilliant engineer, using her forearms to work on multiple components simultaneously. She and Danny developed a friendship as they solved problems together, often staying up late, discussing scientific theories. Lisa and Lyra also bonded during medical checkups. The doctor was fascinated by Zilani biology, which was silicon-based rather than carbon-based. You should be impossible, Lisa said one day. According to our science, silicon life cannot exist at these temperatures. Yet here I am, Lyra replied with what the crew had learned was her version of a smile. Perhaps your science does not know everything. Jake found Lyra one night in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. She turned when she heard him enter and patted the seat next to her with one of her lower arms. Cannot sleep, Jake asked, sitting down. I was thinking about home, Lyra said quietly. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. I miss them terribly, but I can never go back. If I return, Krex will claim me, and my father will not stop him. That must be hard, Jake said. I cannot imagine being cut off from family forever. Lyra looked at him with her swirling tricolor eyes. Your crew has become like family to me, she said. In just a few days you have shown me more kindness than I knew in years at the palace. My father sees children as political tools, nothing more. Before Jake could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Emma's voice came over the intercom. Captain, to the bridge immediately. We have company. Jake and Lyra ran to the bridge where the main screen showed 3 sleek Zilani warships dropping out of hyperspace. The lead ship was twice the size of the Liberty Bell and bristled with weapons. Incoming transmission. Emma said, put it through. Jake ordered. The T screen filled with the image of a massive Zilani warrior. His skin was dark purple and scars covered his face. 4 muscular arms crossed over his chest as he glared at them. This is Warlord Krex, he growled. Return my bride immediately, or I will take her from your scattered atoms. Lyra stepped forward so Krex could see her. I am not your bride, Krex, she said with royal authority. I refuse the arrangement and I claim sanctuary with these humans. Krex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Humans cannot protect you, little princess. They are weak, primitive creatures barely worth noticing. Hand her over, Captain, and I might let you live. Jake moved to stand beside Lyra. Not happening, he said firmly. She asked for our protection and she has it. You will have to come through us to get her. The warlord face twisted in rage. So be it, he snarled. The transmission ended. Danny's fingers flew over his console. The engine modifications are only half complete, he reported. We cannot outrun them yet. Emma checked her readings. They are charging weapons, she said, voice tight with fear. Jake grabbed the ship controls. Everyone hold on, he shouted. This is going to get rough. The Liberty Bell lurched forward as Jake pushed the engines to maximum. The first blast from Krex's ship passed right where they had been floating. The cargo hauler was not built for combat, but Jake had spent years flying these routes and knew every trick. He dove toward the nearest asteroid field, using the rocks as cover. Zilani weapons fire shattered asteroids around them, sending debris bouncing off their shields. Lisa and Lyra held on as the ship spun and twisted through space. Their shields cannot take much more, Emma warned, as another blast grazed them. Shields down to 30%. Lyra suddenly stood up. I have an idea, she said. Captain, can you get us close to that gas giant? She pointed at a massive planet on the scanner. That is suicide, Jake said. The gravity will tear us apart. Not if we modify the shields, Lyra explained quickly. My people's shields are designed for energy weapons, not gravitational stress. But your shields work differently. If we combine them, we can surf the gravity well and slingshot around the planet. Danny's eyes lit up, understanding. That is brilliant, he said. The Zilani ships are too big to follow us that close to the planet. It could work. Jake made the decision. Do it, he ordered, Lyra and Danny ran to engineering while Jake flew toward the gas giant. The massive planet grew larger. On the screen, its swirling clouds promising death if they miscalculated. Crek's ships followed, firing constantly. "Got it," Danny's voice came over the comm. "Combined shields are online, but they will not last long." Jake pushed the Liberty Bell into a steep dive toward the planet. The ship groaned and shook as gravity grabbed them. The Zilani weapons fire stopped as Krek ships pulled back, unwilling to follow. The cargo hauler skimmed the upper atmosphere, using the planet gravity to whip them around. At incredible speed, they shot out the other side like a bullet heading straight for open space. The Zilani ships were now far behind them. It worked. Emma shouted, but her celebration was short-lived. "The shields are failing, and the engines are overheating. We need to land for repairs soon. There is a human mining outpost in this system," Jake said. "Setting course. It is run by my old friend Betty Coleman. She will help us." As they limped toward the outpost, Lyra returned to the bridge. Her skin was flushed, purple, and she was breathing hard. "Captain Miller," she said formally, "I owe you and your crew my life. No one has ever stood up for me like that before." Jake reached out and squeezed her upper shoulder gently. "That is what family does, sweetie," he said. "We protect each other." Lyra's eyes shimmered with what looked like tears. "Yes, darling," she whispered. "I am beginning to understand that." The Liberty Bell barely made it to the mining outpost before the engines completely shut down. As they docked, Jake knew their fight was far from over. Kreks would not give up, and they needed a better plan than just running. But looking at his crew and their new alien princess, he felt confident they would figure something out. Humans might be primitive by galactic standards, but they were stubborn, creative, and fiercely protective of their own. And Lyra was definitely one of their own now. Betty Coleman was a tough woman who had run the mining outpost for 20 years. She took one look at the damaged Liberty Bell and shook her head. "Jake Miller, what trouble have you gotten into now?" she asked. Jake introduced Lyra and explained their situation. Betty listened without interrupting, then looked at the alien princess. "So you are the one causing all the fuss," she said. "Half the galaxy is looking for you." Girl Lyra bowed formally, using all four arms in a graceful gesture. "I apologize for bringing danger to your outpost," she said. "If you wish us to leave, we understand." Betty laughed and slapped Lyra on the back, making the princess stumble. "Nonsense," she said. "Any enemy of a tyrant is a friend of mine. Besides, Jake saved my life once, so I owe him. Come on, let us get your ship fixed." The outpost was built into a large asteroid with tunnels running through the rock. Miners from a dozen different species worked there, though humans ran the operation. Betty's crew immediately started repairs on the Liberty Bell while the crew settled into temporary quarters. Lyra was fascinated by the mining operation. She had never seen different species working together as equals. In the Zilani Empire, other species were either servants or enemies, but here everyone collaborated. Danny took her on a tour showing her how humans had adapted alien mining techniques with their own innovations. In the recreation area, Lyra watched humans playing a card game with some insectoid cliques and reptilian scalers. The different species laughed and joked together, sharing drinks and stories. She turned to Emma, who had accompanied them. "Is it always like this?" she asked. Emma nodded. "Humans are weird that way. We make friends with everyone. We even have a saying, 'The enemy of my enemy is my friend.' But we usually skip the enemy part and go straight to being friends." That evening, Betty called a meeting in her office. "I have been monitoring communications," she said. "Kreks is getting desperate. He is threatening any settlement that might be harboring you. He has already destroyed 2 trading posts just on suspicion." Lyra stood up alarmed. "He is killing innocents because of me," she said. "I cannot allow this to continue. I should surrender myself." Jake grabbed her arm gently but firmly. "We have been over this," he said. "You are not sacrificing yourself. There has to be another way." Betty leaned back in her chair. "There might be," she said slowly. "I have contacts in the Zilani Empire. Not everyone supports Kreks or agrees with the Emperor policies. There is a resistance movement growing, especially among the younger nobility." Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. I knew there was discontent, but an actual resistance, she said. Who leads it? Your sister. Betty said, Princess, Zara has been secretly organizing those who want reform. She believes the Empire has become too rigid and cruel. Sound familiar? My little sister Lyra whispered. Zara always was the brave one. But how do you know this? Betty smiled. I told you humans, make friends everywhere. We have been trading information and supplies with the Resistance for months. Your sister has been looking for you. Lyra. She thinks you are dead. Can you contact her? Jake asked. Betty nodded, but looked serious. It is risky. If Krex intercepts the message, he will know exactly where we are. But if we can coordinate with the Resistance, we might have a chance. They decided to take the risk. Betty sent an encrypted message through her network of contacts while they waited for her response. The crew used the time to continue repairs and upgrades to the Liberty Bell. Danny and Lyra managed to complete the engine modifications, creating a hybrid system that could outrun any ship in known space. 3 days later, they received a reply. Princess Zara would meet them at a neutral location, but they had to come immediately. The Resistance had information that could change everything. The journey to the meeting point took them through dangerous territory. They had to avoid both Krex patrols and regular Imperial forces. Jake flew while Emma navigated, and Lyra monitored communications with her knowledge of Zilani protocols. They met Zara's ship near a nebula that interfered with long-range sensors. The younger princess looked like Lyra, but with darker skin and silver eyes instead of tricolor ones. When the sisters saw each other over the video link, they both began crying, purple tears. I thought you were dead, Zara said. Father told everyone you died in an accident. He did not want the shame of a runaway daughter. Lyra wiped her tears. I am sorry I left you, she said. But I could not marry that monster. Zara's expression hardened. That monster has been terrorizing the outer colonies, she said. But his cruelty has finally gone too far. Even Father is beginning to question the alliance. More importantly, I have learned something about human technology that changes everything. What do you mean? Emma asked. Zara smiled. Your species has something unique? She explained. Humans are the only known species that can safely interface with all other technologies. You call it adaptability, but it is more than that. Your neural patterns are uniquely flexible. Danny leaned forward excitedly. Are you saying humans could operate Zilani technology directly? He asked. Without modifications. Better than that, Zara replied. You could combine technologies from multiple species, creating something entirely new. The Empire fears this ability, which is why they avoided contact. But the Resistance sees it as the future. Jake understood the implications. If humans can unite different technologies and species, he said slowly, we could create something stronger than any single empire. Exactly, Zara agreed, which is why I have a proposal. Help us stop Krex and reform the Empire, and we will establish full alliance between our species. Humans would become the bridge between all galactic civilizations. Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring. Krex fleet had found them. 12 warships dropped out of hyperspace surrounding both vessels. Surrender now, Krex voice boomed over the communications. Or I will destroy both ships, sister, or not. Zara looked at Lyra, then at Jake. Captain Miller, she said formally. I hereby grant you and your crew honorary citizenship in the Zilani Empire. As such, you have the right to challenge Warlord Krex for the hand of Princess Lyra. What? Jake exclaimed. Lyra grabbed his hand. It is an ancient law, she explained quickly. If you challenge him, he must face you in single combat. If you win, I am free and his claim is void, but I will die. Jake protested, I cannot fight a Zilani warlord. Lisa spoke up from behind them. Not alone you cannot, she said. But what if you had help? Danny caught on quickly. The neural interface, Zara mentioned, he said. We could link you to the ship systems, give you enhanced reflexes and tactical data. Emma nodded. And we know Krek's weakness, she added. He is arrogant and expects humans to be weak. Use that against him. Jake looked around at his crew, then at the two princesses. They all believed in him. How could he let them down? He activated the communication system. Warlord. Krex. He announced, I, Captain Jake Miller of Earth, formally challenge you for the freedom of Princess Lyra. There was silence. Then Krex began laughing. You insignificant insect, he said, you dare challenge me. Very well, I accept. When I crush you, I will take both princesses and destroy your pathetic species. The challenge would take place in 1 hour. Jake had that long to prepare and figure out how a human could possibly defeat one of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. Betty's voice crackled over a private channel. Jake, you crazy fool, she said. You better have a plan. Jake looked at his crew and the two alien princesses who had become family. We always do, he replied. But this time we are going to need a miracle, as they prepared for the combat. Everyone knew the fate of multiple species might rest on this fight. If Jake won, it would prove humans deserved respect. If he lost, Krex would use it as an excuse to destroy Earth itself. The countdown began, and Jake Miller, an ordinary cargo captain, prepared to face an alien warlord in combat. No pressure, he muttered to himself, causing Lyra to squeeze his hand despite the danger. Hey, sweetie, she said softly, you can do this. When Jake looked at her in surprise, she blushed purple and added, Yes, darling, I believe in you, we all do. The combat arena was set up in the cargo bay of Krex's flagship, according to Zilani tradition. Both combatants would fight without weapons, using only their natural abilities. The rules were simple: fight until one yielded or died. Jake stood in the Liberty Bell medical bay. As Lisa attached neural interface nodes to his temples, Danny had rigged together human and Zilani technology in less than an hour, creating something that had never existed before. This will give you enhanced reflexes and spatial awareness, Danny explained. You will be able to process information faster, but your body is still human. Do not try to match him. Strength for strength. Emma studied her tactical display. Krex fights with a pattern. She said he uses his upper arms for powerful strikes and his lower arms for grappling. He always leads with his upper right. Lyra stood close to Jake, adjusting the protective vest they had made from salvaged Zilani armor. In our culture, she said, combat is about honor, not just winning. If you show courage even in defeat, you gain respect. Jake looked at her beautiful face, trying to memorize every detail in case this was the last time. In my culture, he said with a slight smile, we have a saying, go big or go home. Zara entered the medical bay carrying a small device. This is technically not cheating, she said, pressing it into Jake's hand. It is a personal shield generator, one charge only. It will stop one fatal blow, but nothing more. Betty's voice came over the intercom. Jake, they are ready for you. Remember what I taught you about bar fighting 20 years ago? Jake laughed despite his fear. How could I forget, he said. You threw me through a window. That was to teach you to duck. Betty replied. Now go show that alien bastard what humans are made of. The crew walked with Jake to the transport shuttle. Lyra held his hand with two of hers, while the other two adjusted his armor one last time. Before he boarded, she pulled him close and whispered something in her own language. The translator did not catch it, but Jake understood the meaning. The arena on Krex's ship was a large circular space with walls of polished metal. Hundreds of Zilani warriors stood around the edges, watching with cold eyes. Krex waited in the center, his massive frame making Jake look like a child. The human finally arrives, Krex announced to the crowd. See how small and weak they are. This will be over quickly. Jake stepped into the circle and immediately felt the neural interface activate. His perception sharpened and time seemed to slow slightly. He could see the way Krex shifted his weight, preparing to attack. The combat began without warning. Krex charged forward with incredible speed, his upper right arm swinging in a devastating arc. Jake's brain processed the movement faster than normal, and he ducked under the blow, rolling to the side. Krex spun, quickly bringing his lower arms around to grab Jake, but the human was already moving. The neural interface fed him data about angles and momentum, letting him stay just out of reach. You cannot run forever, human. Krex growled, lunging again. Jake danced backward, using his smaller size and enhanced reflexes to avoid the assault. He remembered Betty's advice about bar fighting. Wait for them to get angry, then use their strength against them. For several minutes, Jake dodged and weaved, frustrating the warlord. The Zilani crowd began murmuring, surprised that the human had lasted this long. Krex's attacks became more aggressive and less controlled. Then Jake saw his opening. Krex committed too much to a four-armed grab, leaving himself off balance. Jake dropped low and swept the warlord legs with a technique Lisa had taught him from her martial arts training. Krex crashed to the ground, hard his weight working against him. Jake immediately jumped on his back, wrapping his arms around the alien neck in a chokehold. It would not knock out a Zilani, but it made Krex struggle to breathe. The warlord roared and stood up, trying to shake Jake off. He slammed backward into the arena wall, crushing Jake against the metal. The personal shield activated, absorbing the impact but shattering in the process. Jake held on despite the pain, knowing this was his only chance. Krex stumbled forward, then tried to reach back with all four arms, but the angle was wrong. He could not get a good grip on the human. The crowd had gone silent, watching in disbelief as their greatest warrior struggled against a primitive human. Krex dropped to his knees, his face turning a darker purple as he fought for air yield. Jake shouted in his ear, "This does not have to end in death. Yield and keep your honor." "Never," Krex gasped. "I would rather die than lose to a human." Jake felt the moment of decision. He could kill Krex and end this, but that was not the human way. He thought of Lyra and her talk about honor and respect. He made his choice. "Then I will not give you that satisfaction," Jake said. He released the chokehold and stepped back. Krex collapsed forward, gasping for air. He slowly pushed himself up and turned to face Jake with confusion in his eyes. "You had me," he said. "You could have killed me. Why did you let go? Because killing you proves nothing." Jake replied, breathing hard. "Showing mercy proves humans are more than what you think we are. We are not weak, we choose to be kind. There is a difference." The arena remained silent as Krex stood to his full height. He looked at Jake, then at the crowd of warriors. His pride warred with something else in his expression. "You fought with honor, little human," he said finally. "More honor than I showed. You have earned my respect." He turned to address the crowd. "Captain Miller has defeated me in combat. By the ancient laws his claim stands. Princess Lyra is free." The crowd erupted in shocked voices, but Krex raised all four arms for silence. Furthermore, he announced, "I withdraw my forces from human space and acknowledge their right to travel freely in the Empire." Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. Had not just won the fight, he had changed Krex's entire worldview. Back on the Liberty Bell, the crew celebrated with tears and laughter. Lyra hugged Jake with all four arms, lifting him off the ground. "You wonderful, brave fool," she said, crying purple. "Tears, you could have died." Jake hugged her back, feeling her warmth. "Hey, sweetie," he said gently. "I told you humans protect their family." Lyra blushed that familiar purple and whispered, "Yes, darling, you certainly do." Princess Zara formally thanked Jake and his crew. "This will change everything," she said. "The Empire will have to acknowledge humans as equals. My father will be furious at first, but he will adapt. He always does." Betty arrived in her own ship, bringing alcohol from Earth to properly celebrate. "You did good, kid," she told Jake. "That was the gutsiest thing I have ever seen, and the stupidest." Danny raised a glass in a toast. "To Captain Miller, who just beat up an alien warlord and probably started a new era of galactic peace." Emma added, "And to Lyra, who brought us all together," Lisa finished. "And to humans being too stubborn to know when we are supposed to lose." They all drank while Lyra tried alcohol for the first time and immediately started giggling. The party went late into the night, with stories and songs from multiple worlds. Later, Jake found Lyra alone in the observation lounge looking at the stars. She turned when she heard him and smiled with that purple blush he had grown to love. "What happens now?" Jake asked, sitting beside her. "Now," Lyra said, taking his hand. "I choose my own path, and I choose to stay with the Liberty Bell with my found family if you will have me." Jake squeezed her hand. We would love to have you, he said. But what about your duties as a princess? Zara will handle the politics, Lyra replied. I was never good at that anyway. I would rather explore the galaxy with you and see what adventures we can find. The Liberty Bell left the next day with a full crew, including their newest permanent member, Princess Lyra of Zalani, who had chosen freedom and family over duty and tradition. As they jumped to hyperspace heading for new adventures, Jake received a message from Warlord Krex. It simply said, Captain Miller, you have taught this old warrior something. Valuable strength without mercy is just brutality. I hope we meet again under better circumstances. Emma looked at the message and whistled. Looks like you made a friend out of an enemy, Captain, she said. Jake laughed. That seems to be a human specialty, he replied, making friends out of everyone we meet. Lyra leaned against him with a contented sigh. Then I am glad I met you, she said. My darling Captain. The stars streaked past as they flew toward their next adventure together. 6 months had passed since the combat with Krex, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one expected. The Liberty Bell had become famous as the first human ship with a mixed-species crew. Lyra officially joined as their science officer and navigator, using her knowledge to open new trade routes. They were docked at Harmony Station, the first joint human-Zalani space station, when Jake received an urgent message. The Emperor of Zalani wanted to meet them personally. Lyra went pale when she heard, Father wants to see us, she said. This cannot be good. He has never requested to meet humans before. Zara's message came through shortly after. Do not worry, sister. She said, Father is curious, not angry. Your human friends have started something that even he cannot ignore. The journey to the Zalani homeworld took 3 days. During that time, Lyra grew increasingly nervous. She paced the ship with all 4 arms, gesturing wildly as she talked. You do not understand, she told Jake. My father is not cruel, but he is traditional. He has ruled for 200 years and believes in the old ways. Jake caught her hands gently. Hey, sweetie, he said. Calm down. We faced down Krex. Remember? We can handle meeting your father. Lyra, purple blush, appeared, despite her worry. Yes, darling, she said. But Krex just wanted to fight. My father will want to test you in different ways. The Zalani homeworld was unlike anything the humans had seen before. Crystal spires reached into clouds that shimmered with rainbow colors. The palace sat on a floating island suspended by technology that defied human understanding. Emperor Thyron was ancient, even by Zalani standards. His skin had a golden tint, and all 6 of his eyes studied them with centuries of wisdom. He sat on a throne made from a single crystal while guards stood at attention around the throne room daughter. He said, his voice carrying authority despite its soft tone. You return home at last, and you bring the humans who have caused such disruption in my empire. Jake stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, he said, we meant no disruption. We only wanted to help your daughter. The Emperor rose from his throne, moving with surprising grace for someone so old. He walked down the steps and circled the crew, studying each of them. Danny fidgeted nervously while Emma stood at attention. Lisa watched the guards carefully, and Jake kept his eyes on the Emperor. You defeated my greatest warrior, the Emperor said, stopping in front of Jake. You showed mercy when you could have killed. You turned an enemy into an ally. He paused, then continued. My daughter chose you over her own people. Why? Before Jake could answer, Lyra spoke up. Because they showed me what our empire has forgotten, Father, she said. They showed me that strength comes from unity, not dominance, that different species can work together as equals. The Emperor looked at his daughter with an unreadable expression. And you have been happy with these humans? He asked. Happier than I ever was in the palace, Lyra replied firmly. They are my family now. The old ruler walked to a window that looked out over his crystal city. Captain Miller, he said without turning around. Do you know why I really asked you here? Jake glanced at his crew, then answered, No, Your Majesty, I do not. The Emperor turned with what might have been a smile. My empire is dying, he said. Oh, not quickly or obviously, but dying nonetheless. We have become stagnant, isolated, believing ourselves superior to all others. Then you humans appeared. He gestured to a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Your species has done something remarkable in just 6 months, he continued. You have connected 3 civilizations that never spoke before. You have shared technology freely, creating innovations we never imagined. You treat everyone as equals regardless of their power. Danny could not help himself, he spoke up. That is just how humans are, sir. We like making friends. The Emperor actually laughed, a sound like wind chimes. Young human, that is exactly the point, he said. Your species' greatest strength is not your technology or your courage. It is your ability to bring others together. He walked back to his throne, but did not sit. I have spoken with Warlord Krex, he announced. He tells me you taught him that mercy is stronger than violence. I have spoken with the cliques and the scalers who work with humans at mining stations. They say humans treat them as family. Your Majesty, Emma said carefully. What are you saying? The Emperor looked at each of them, then at his daughter. I am saying that the Zilani Empire wishes to form an alliance with Earth, he declared. Not as superior and inferior, but as equals. We wish to learn from you as you have learned from us. The throne room erupted in surprised voices from the guards and advisors. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. Furthermore, he continued, I officially recognize my daughter. Choice to live among humans. She may serve as our first ambassador to your species if she wishes. Lyra, eyes filled with purple tears. Father, do you mean it? She asked. The Emperor stepped down and embraced his daughter with all 4 arms. I was wrong to try to control your life, he said softly. You have found something with these humans that our empire needs hope for the future. He turned to Jake, Captain Miller. Will you accept Princess Lyra as official ambassador and continue to show the galaxy what humans can achieve? Jake looked at his crew, who all nodded enthusiastically. He took Lyra's hand and smiled. We would be honored, Your Majesty, he said. Lyra is already family. This just makes it official. The Emperor nodded, then surprised everyone by addressing Lisa. Dr. Taylor, I understand you have been studying Zilani biology, he said. We would like to share our medical knowledge with Earth. Perhaps we can learn from each other. Lisa's eyes went wide with excitement. That would be incredible, she said. Think of what we could accomplish together, and you, Danny Chen. The Emperor continued. Your hybrid technology has created something entirely new. Would you be willing to teach our scientists? Danny grinned. Absolutely, he said. I have so many ideas to share, Emma Brown. The Emperor said. Our navigation methods could benefit from your intuitive approach. Would you consider an exchange program? Emma nodded eagerly. I would love that, she said. Finally, the Emperor faced Jake, Captain Miller. You have changed the destiny of multiple species, he said. What reward can I offer you, Jake? Thought for a moment, then said, Your Majesty, the only reward I want is for all species to work together as equals. That and to keep flying with my crew and exploring the galaxy. The Emperor smiled fully this time. Then you shall have both, he said. The Liberty Bell will be designated as the first official joint species exploration vessel. You will have authority to make first contact with new civilizations on behalf of both our peoples, as they prepared to leave. Lyra said goodbye to her family, properly this time. Her siblings had all come to see her, each expressing amazement at how she had changed the Empire. Her mother, Queen Vela, hugged her daughter and whispered, You have done more for our people than centuries of tradition back on the Liberty Bell. The crew celebrated their new mission. They were no longer just a cargo ship but ambassadors for the entire human species. Betty sent a message saying she was proud of them and that drinks were on her next time they visited. That night, Jake found Lyra in their favorite spot in the observation lounge. She was looking at the stars but turned when she heard him approach. Hey, sweetie, Jake said, sitting beside her. How are you feeling about all this? Lyra leaned against him with a contented sigh. I feel like I am exactly where I belong, she said. With you and our crew exploring the galaxy and bringing species together. She turned to look at him, her tricolor eyes swirling with emotion. Yes, darling, this is perfect. A year later, the Liberty Bell had made contact with 12 new species. Each time they showed that humans' greatest gift was not their technology, but their ability to unite different beings in friendship. The crew had grown to include members from various species. All working together, Lyra and Jake's relationship had deepened into something neither species had seen before. A human and Zalani, who proved that love could cross any boundary. They were planning a wedding that would combine traditions from both cultures. The galaxy had entered a new age of cooperation, and it all started because a human captain said, "Hey, sweetie," to a frightened alien princess, and meant it with genuine kindness. Krex now served as military advisor to the new alliance, teaching peaceful conflict resolution. He often said that losing to Captain Miller was the best thing that ever happened to him. Princess Zara led the reform movement in the Zalani Empire, working with humans to modernize their society. She often visited the Liberty Bell, bringing news from home. Danny had created a technology institute where different species could share knowledge. His hybrid designs were revolutionizing. Space travel Emma became the head of the new Galactic Navigation Guild, teaching her intuitive methods to pilots from all species. Lisa established the first interspecies medical center, where doctors from different worlds worked together to understand all forms of life. And Jake remained captain of the Liberty Bell, flying through the stars, with his mixed species crew showing the galaxy that humans might be new to space, but they brought something invaluable: an open heart and extended hand of friendship to all. The story of the Liberty Bell became legend across the galaxy. The tale of how humans proved that being primitive by galactic standards meant nothing, compared to having the courage to stand up for others, and the wisdom to choose kindness over conflict. As Jake often said to new species they encountered, "We are humans. We are explorers, dreamers, and friends to all who would have us welcome to the family." The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how everyone wanted it.